Hey everyone, it's Sarah. Welcome to my channel and thanks for joining me for the second episode of Conductor in a COVID World. In my first episode, I told you all about my time with the Dallas Symphony. This time, I headed to Tulsa. I used to pack this suitcase nearly every week, and there's something comforting about getting all my stuff in order. I have a very specific packing technique. Maybe I'll make a video about that sometime. I've been to the airport a bunch of times since late August, but this is the first time the Centurion Lounge was open at San Francisco International. I've spent a lot of time in this lounge, and it was weird to be back here after 7 months. So it's been 6 months since I've been in this lounge, and they finally opened this week, which is super exciting because I just spent a lot of time here. But social distancing is in place. As you can see, area's closed. No buffet, obviously, but even have to get your coffee for you, which is a really weird and different experience. But traveling is feeling a little bit more normal now. The flight was pretty uneventful, which was great, and I'm getting used to the whole notion of being in a mask and wiping down my tray, the sanitizing wipes, all that kind of stuff. I did have a layover in Denver, and I was frankly pretty surprised at how busy this airport was. San Francisco was still pretty quiet, but Denver looked like it was at full capacity. It's interesting, I've gotten so used to the signage, the hand-washing signs, the request to remain masked, the socially distant spots that are laid out at the baggage claim. They've become a part of the normal landscape of my understanding of the world. It's amazing how you mentally adjust to these things. I landed at 8 p.m. and after I reached my hotel at 8:30, I went out to find some food. When I'm on the road, I try to get outside for a bit and walk around. I of course make sure that it's safe for me to do so, especially at night. Tulsa at 9 p.m. on a Wednesday was pretty quiet. So this is the super unglamorous side of being a traveling musician, is that you show up to a hotel and it's 9:30 at night and you're disheveled and tired. You gotta unpack and get everything ready for tomorrow. I'm alone again because Pink got bitten by a dog last week and he's still recovering. So my travels so far in the COVID world have been dogless, which has been weird in itself. So it's a whole process. Rehearsals start tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to meeting the orchestra and seeing a little bit more of Tulsa when it's not dark out. I of course checked out the gym the next day. Gyms are just beginning to open in San Francisco, so it still feels like a huge luxury to be able to use one. The Hyatt downtown Tulsa had all the basics and was a pretty quiet place to work out for the next few days. That night was our first rehearsal. So here we are in Tulsa. I feel like I need a haircut again since it's been 6 weeks since I had my last one. I am in my green room at a athletic center where we are rehearsing with the Tulsa Symphony. The concert's going to be in a baseball field. The multi-use athletic center was a pretty interesting setup. They didn't want the orchestra sitting on the court, so we were pushed against the bleachers on the side. Tables for instrument cases were spread around so musicians could socially distance themselves. The orchestra itself was socially distanced. String players didn't share stands, but rather had their own stand. This all meant that the orchestra was spread out way more than in any situation that I've ever encountered. I mean, the second oboe and the second flute, who under normal circumstances might be 8 feet apart, were 20 feet apart. Rehearsing in a gym was an unusual experience, but hanging out in a hotel room at night is still an experience that feels really familiar. And the next day, I headed to rehearsal. The concert venue was in keeping with the athletic theme because it was on a baseball field. So I'm at One Oak Field in Tulsa. This is my dressing room for the day. It is the umpire's room, which is kind of exciting. And we are in a baseball field. Very, very unique. Really, it was the umpire's room. I think this might be both my first and last time in one of these. I headed out to rehearsal. The Tulsa Drillers are a minor league baseball team with a beautiful field. They set up a tent in the middle of the field, basically right over the pitcher's mound. You can get a sense here of how spread out the orchestra is, taking the entire space of the stage. And while it was a sunny day, it was also chilly and very, very windy. You can see that the orchestra is mic'd and that there are a lot of electric wires everywhere. This fact is going to become a very important part of the story in a few minutes. I'm in a baseball field, and here we are. We're called off because of wind, and it's really a beautiful field. You can hear the shell rattling, and apparently they're going to seat people out here and also in some of the stands. And there are boxes, luxury boxes, where there's also closed circuit TV where they can watch inside the box and outside the box. So we're hoping it's going to happen tomorrow, but the weather is supposed to be funky tomorrow too. It's about 66 degrees, so really cold and windy. Well, not cold, but cold for this stage. So the adventure continues. Well, the morning rehearsal was canceled because of the wind, but we managed to get through an afternoon rehearsal. And then I took a walk around Tulsa and eventually picked up some dinner. Hey, you can't go wrong with brisket, with tangy barbecue sauce, steamed broccoli, and potato salad, all consumed in my hotel room, because, well, indoor dining still doesn't feel right to me. The next day, an hour before the concert, as I walked through the long tunnel from my dressing room and the umpire's room to the dugout, things were not looking good. The temperature hovered around 54 degrees, the wind was icy, and what had been a fine mist had turned into a drizzle. I wasn't very confident that the concert was going to go as planned. There were a few brave souls who were out on the field in the rain setting up their blankets and umbrellas. Now that's what I call a true orchestra fan. People were trickling into the stands as well, and some of the orchestra members were on stage warming up. The rain was creating puddles on stage. Water and electrical wiring, of course, do not mix. So it's raining, and as you can see, there are still people here, but it's up to question whether we're going to have a concert this afternoon. So fingers crossed for the next 20 minutes. So I headed back to my dressing room. I always like getting glimpses into other people's lives, and these are the things that an umpire apparently needs. Walking through the halls again. This is our special lime green for the concert. Oh, I was going to show you the COVID protocol here. So let us show you that. Just like at Dallas, there was a check-in system when musicians arrived at the venue. We were all required to be tested days before the first rehearsal. Full disclosure, some members of the orchestra did test positive and had to be replaced on short notice. When we arrived at the venue, we were temperature checked and asked a series of questions. Theoretically, everyone is in quarantine for the week. PCR tests were made available to the symphony free of charge by the health department. Again, I'm really glad that organizations like the Tulsa Symphony are taking the health of their musicians very seriously. And I'm grateful to the volunteers who were there every day doing the temperature checks. At least the musicians were taking the rain delay in stride. We made quite the crew in our matching neon green tops. I'm just videotaping. I know! It's the Tulsa Symphony! We enjoyed working with you so much! Yay! We tried! Oh, my leprechauns! Finally, the decision was made. The concert was going to be canceled, but the musicians agreed to play just the Mozart overture for the patrons who braved that weather. So we all made our way back onto the wet stage. So here we are now on stage, and looks like we're going to play some Mozart. Well, we just played a concert where we played an overture, and that was it. We're calling it for rain. As you can see, the stage is wet. There's a heater, but it's a mess. But at least we got to play something, and the audience loved it. And unfortunately, that was the extent of my experience on One Oak Field. I have to say I've experienced quite a few delays or cancellations of outdoor concerts because of weather. It's the nature of the beast. I'm just glad we got to play something. I really enjoyed working with the Tulsa Symphony. It's a group of great musicians and really great people as well. One of the pleasures of being a frequent guest conductor all over the world are these experiences to meet new friends and to share music together. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be making music in the age of COVID. And it's always fun to be introduced to a new city as well. I know I'll be back at some point to conduct a full concert whenever the pandemic and the orchestra's schedule permit. Hope to be back soon, Tulsa.